And welcome to Incredibly, your favorite show about superheroes. My name is Dennis. I am your superhero host, and I'm here with Joey,
Yeah.
and I'm here with Uchi.
Here.
Let's party. Joey, first thoughts. What did you think of Echo?
I thought it was a wonderful show. There was really good aspects of it. I really liked how much they paid homage to the Choctaw people, how much the Native American roots were really felt in this movie, in this series.
Mhm.
That I really loved. It felt like um, the show was made for them. Like that's a lot of it really felt that way. Like it was giving back to them. Um, and so overall, I really liked it. There was some things about the show that I really wasn't too keen on, but we'll dig into that later.
Okay, I like that. Uchi, hit me with your first thoughts on
Yeah,
Echo.
like really just echoing off of
Ooh.
what Joey was saying. Like I thought that this was a really enjoyable show. I feel like it's definitely up there in contention with a lot of the heavy hitters. And it's just honestly just another great example that Marvel now has under their belt
Mm,
to exemplify like, hey, like we know how to make great superhero type characters, whether they're villainous or very heroic, even though like you might not be able to tell at first. At the end of the day, we literally have a hero for everybody. So and when they do it right, and it's like it feels very effective, and like they pay all the right respects and hit all the right notes, so that if you have that background in your bloodline, right, then you will appreciate it that much more. So it's like it's really cool to see when they do stuff like this. And I can tell you right now, Crystal was a humongous fan of this show. So like she's putting it up there, I'm putting it up there. So we could obviously talk more about it because obviously this episode is dedicated to, you know, all 5 episodes of Echo. So what did you think about it, Dennis?
I'm having mixed feelings with it. There was parts of it that I liked, and then there were parts of it where they were just so boring to me. Like
Well,
they were
I
just
feel that.
they were so slow. I've had a YouTube channel for like a week and I don't know anything about editing, if I'm being honest. But for some reason, I just felt like these edits didn't make sense to me at times. Like, yeah, Joey, go for it.
No, I was listening. I kind of agree with you. There were certain scenes that just kind of felt almost sloppy or like kind of patchworked in.
Mhm.
And I want to preface this to say I love the show as a whole. But from, like, a filmmaking, cinematography standpoint, a lot of the scenes just kind of fell flat, and it felt like most of it was earlier in the show, and then a lot of it with the flashbacks. Like, I know they were trying to go for more of, like, a stylized look, but they did it so well in WandaVision, and then when they try to do the flashbacks here, specifically to, like, the black and white, no sound movies, it just kinda to me, it felt a little flat, and it kinda just it just kinda took me out of it, you know? It didn't feel like that was the appropriate setting to do something like that in this show, but sorry to take away from you.
No, no, no. That's good. Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky because you guys know I was a big fan of Nighthawk. Nighthawk? Hawkeye. Nighthawk. There's too many
Nighthawk is a
superheroes.
character though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, you're right.
Marvel
But
Snap.
Hawkeye,
Thank you.
our Marvel Snap. And yeah, I don't know. I love the culture part of it. Like I thought that was super cool. I love seeing things where I can learn stuff. Like I had no clue about this culture and like what they believe in and their stories. I wish they almost would have leaned in just a little bit more on that piece of it.
Agreed.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm having such mixed feelings. I was angry at her most of the time. Like I was
Really?
just like, what like who are you trying to be? What is exactly your goal? Who are you mad at? Why don't you ask for help, but like not bad help where you're like, hey, come join me so we can go start a war
Right.
type of thing. So I'm very conflicted because I also like Kingpin a lot. Like I just love this character. and he's so cool. But at times, he also didn't seem as big as we know him, like in the Netflix series. And here's the problem that I had. I think there was a miscommunication with what I was promoted. I thought I was getting something a little bit more gruesome, a little bit more blood. But bro, like there are only like two scenes of what this Marvel Spotlight thing was supposed to be. So it felt more Disney to me than like this nostalgic kind of thing that I was given in the trailer. So I think that's a lot of it that's going on. But I don't know, Uchi, how do you feel? Did you get what the trailer kind of promoted?
I actually understand exactly what you're saying, because I did feel that, but it didn't bother me too much, only because I'm looking ahead, right? And I know what's coming. I know what's being cooked or what's
Mm,
cooking right now. And I think that for all intensive purposes, they kept this to a very well degree, self-contained, where, that's kind of like what the whole spotlight point is in the first place. And I'm very glad that Daredevil was literally only in there for one scene and one scene only.
right
And
up front too.
and they got it done and out of the way because, you
right.
know, and obviously they're not dumb. They know that people wanna see more Daredevil, and they wanna see more of that, like, Netflix infusion within the MCU, and it's really nice that they even went as far as making a post saying, like, they are officially a part of this timeline now, which is great, like, they were donned that much. But as far as, like, the promotion and stuff goes, I don't blame them for you could consider it clickbaity, but nowadays, who the fuck doesn't clickbait? Let's be honest. And in this case, I don't think it was that bad, but I know that it helps me understand that they are aware of what people want, but they obviously knew that this is not going to meet the expectation of what a lot of folks are waiting for still. And that's that real raw gruesomeness that Daredevil, that Punisher had.
Yeah.
And Echo seemed like it was gonna be like that. And I get that, especially if you're watching the trailers. And then, of course, when you watch the show, it's just like, there was only a couple moments of that. And, when those moments happened, when it was like with Kingpin or when, Echo had her fights, to be honest, her fights were like very fine. Like they were
Mm.
okay, but they didn't stick with me like all these Daredevil and Punisher,
Mhm.
scenes. So yeah, like I wasn't offended by that though, because again, I'm treating Echo almost kind of like an appetizer towards what's coming. And I think for the story that they were trying to tell anyway, I mean, Echo seems like she was Maya. I should call her Maya. She was a very complicated character in a sense. And a lot of these like darker rogue villainess type of people, they usually have some sort of like something is wrong because of whatever had happened in their past, and they're just trying to seek revenge or whatever. But then, it's the show's job to show us like how that either A happens or they evolve and change throughout that experience. So I thought it was interesting for sure, and I feel like they definitely did a good job with that. But yeah, they really they really did make it seem like this was about to be like Daredevil Part 2,
Yeah.
as far as that gruesomeness. But hey, man, you got to do what you got to do to really get people to give you another chance. But I don't
Mhm.
think people are going. I would hope that they don't like really come out of the woodwork and just really come down on this show for the lack thereof, because it could
Mm.
have been a lot worse. I
That's
enjoyed
true.
this a lot. I would consider this an A type show. Um, but yeah, I wasn't offended.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because I was like, didn't they like make it a big deal about like advisory and change your settings on Hulu and on
It
Disney
it
Plus?
was there's a whole campaign, like, there's a slew of
Yeah.
commercials about how gruesome this show is gonna be. It's gonna be so rated R, and then, like, really weren't that many scenes that were entirely gruesome. Like even the Daredevil fight was pretty tame. Like there wasn't like
Yeah.
heads getting blown off or anything, or it was very small and contained. Like it really wasn't until the later half. Actually, it really was like the 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 flashback from Fisk in the alleyway, and then
That was the
Right.
bad one. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then
And then there was one more at the skating ring,
the
maybe?
skating rink had a
Yeah.
few
Correct.
kinda it wasn't, but it wasn't even that maybe we're just
Yeah.
desensitized at this point, but it wasn't
Mm.
that bad, you know? Like, there were some fights in Daredevil, like, specifically most of the hallway fight scenes were, like, nutty, right? And they were, like, actually very gruesome. But, I think that this is Disney gruesome. So, I really hope
Yeah.
that, and because this is what I was, like, really waiting to see, was how far they would push that boundary for how gross Deadpool will be. Gross. How, like, violent or whatever it'll be, because he can be an ultra violent villain, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
then laugh
so
about it.
exactly, and then laugh about it. And so I'm a little concerned now about if they're going to water down Deadpool based on how this show went. But I will say, contrary to how you felt about it, which is that like I thought the show excelled in the fights. I thought the show, like the best parts of the show almost were a lot of the fight scenes. And that's when I was really pulled into it, because like I almost texted you guys after watching episode one because I was so like hyped. Like the
Mm.
Daredevil fight scene, everything like that going, and then the introduction of Fisk in episode one leading into it had me really, really high. And I was like, this, if this is what the show is going to be the whole way, I'm buckled in, I'm ready to go. And then it felt like it was kind of like, like you just get dropped. And it just
Mm.
then goes into almost like this slice of life of her returning back to her town and piecing
Yeah.
back her life together. Cause it really feels like this story is just her, a girl returning to her past life to pick up the pieces and to put her life back together is what it felt like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kinda felt like that, but really what it was she went back to essentially, like, do what you said, build up a little bit so that she can get that revenge back because she's now trying to be the queen pin to, like, really stick it to, everyone that I guess crossed her. So, like, it's a complicated, I guess, position and situation to be in, if especially if we're talking about her, and I think it was fine for what it was. I mean, it was only 5 episodes. So, like, I think that
It wasn't even 5 hours long, and that
nah,
was what
Yeah.
confused me.
yeah, like, if it
Yeah.
was, like, 6 or 7, maybe even 8, I feel like we definitely would have got more, like, lore on her heritage and even the backstory, and I
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like for what they gave us, I feel like it was just enough because they kinda kept going back and forth, and I figured, like, it was obviously gonna play into her character, which it did, but, like, the bigger thing that no one has said yet, and I guess I'll be the first one to say it, and it makes sense that I'm saying it. She might be a mutant, and I'll just put it like that. And I'm gonna give my credits to Crystal because she's the one who pointed out. She's like, "Is she a mutant?" I was like, "You beat me to it, goddamn." So yeah, I'm hyped
Yeah,
for that.
it's super tricky because I don't know, like, I felt like a lot of the conversations were repetitive as well. Like, the last final meetings that she had with Kingpin were, like, the same thing. "We are the same. Don't kill me. Oh, meet me over there later." I'm like, "Wait, didn't you guys just talk about this already, like, twice? Like, what are you guys doing?" Man, I don't know. It's such a tricky episode or series to kind of judge because I'm still not quite sure like what they were trying to go for. Like, is it just one and done? But there was this interesting kind of final scene with Kingpin at the end, and I'm like, wait, are they gonna keep it going? Like, it was just very, very confusing to me. And
It
so,
almost oh, sorry, Dennis, but
no,
to
go
me, it
for it, go
almost
for it.
feels like with the spotlight is they're trying to literally shine a spotlight on a character, and then they almost just fade into obscurity, then they're just gone. Like, I feel like this is probably the last we'll see of Echo,
You
because
think so?
I
I
if
think
we
so
see her
too.
again, it'll be in a very similar fashion to how we saw Daredevil in this series, where she'll show up for a fight, and that's it,
I'm
because it
down.
really felt like
Kind of like
she got
Hawkeye.
what exactly like how like how Ronan was, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what we're gonna see, because it really, like, to me, the highlight of the show was Kingpin. Like,
Mhm.
and this is how I felt about Daredevil, is how I felt about Hawkeye, that's how I feel about this show too, is that, like, when Vincent is on the scene, it is just night and day a better show. And so I think as much as this was an Echo show, it really felt like this show was to set up Kingpin in
Mm.
whatever the Defenders universe is going to be within the MCU. And so I think Echo's role has been played, and now they're bringing in Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Daredevil, Jessica
Mm.
Jones, maybe, hopefully. They're on the
That's a
timeline, so that's
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 an
how I
interesting
see it.
take. That's an interesting take because the show's called Echo. And so, like, for it to turn out to be about Kingpin, but speaking about Kingpin, like, that was my favorite thing about this show because I was so angry at her. I was like, "Bro, like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? You're just causing pain all around. I'm not very clear about what you want. Are you angry? Do you want help? Are you looking for love?" All that other stuff. But with Kingpin, one thing that I got was like, "Wait a minute. This is a broken person who is dying for love." Like, that's it. And I was like, "Oh, and this anger and this rage and this killing is a cry for love. Like you missing love." And so like at least I got that from Kingpin and I was like, "Okay, cool." But then with the Echo thing, I just had a hard time like connecting with her. I felt like she didn't care about herself or anybody.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
maybe like until the end, right? And I was just like, I can't. I was so frustrated.
it was a gradual build because, like I keep saying, like, she is a character that don't even know her own roots.
Mhm,
Like, she is somebody that was brought up a certain way, was told certain things, lost people, and kinda similar to Fisk, like, they have very troubled, like, upbringings, and the fact that, like, I felt for Fisk in a way, much like how I felt for her. Obviously, the show is, her about her, but, like, you can't tell her story without having his told in unison in a sense,
mhm,
because he is a part of her life. So, like, the fact that, like, I can understand why, like, you or anyone that would be like, man, like, she's annoying, for example, right? I can get that because, usually characters that have had it bad, they are annoying because they don't know what they want. They just want to seek out vengeance, get revenge, whatever, because that's all that they were brought up to do. And that's the part that makes it complicated. And that's where, like, for me, I kind of just caught on to all of it as it was happening, because I
mm,
was just like, I can see how this is going. She's not listening. She's not taking, like, good advice. She's not, like, staying out of it. All that is to set up what they're giving us, because honestly, it's just like, honestly and obviously, it's just like, she's not gonna grow until she gets too far deep. And lucky enough for her, she could have been dead, but Fisk, Kingpin actually had a relationship with her. He actually did have. He saw her as a daughter,
mhm.
and that's how he wanted that to be. And he even understood. He was willing to truly forgive her ass after shooting him in the fucking face. Like, if that's not love, I don't know what is,
Yep.
because that's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
I
that
got it.
moment when he came back, I was like, "Oh, you are so desperate for love that potentially the only person that can love you in this world right now, you're willing to forgive them for trying to kill you." And then they got into his story about his dad and like the household he was in. I was like, "Oh, okay, I get Kingpin. Like I understand where Kingpin is, who he is, all that stuff." But yeah, the Echo thing was just so crazy.
There
But then yeah, go for it.
There was people that this is how I realized this, that had mentioned that while he does these things for love, he wouldn't even learn sign language for her. But we had
Mhm.
seen in Daredevil that he was willing to learn Chinese and Mandarin in order to make a business deal. So like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, that's the kind of person he is, where he'll go only so far for somebody, but he won't go all the way. And she even brings it up. She's like, "You won't even learn sign language
Yeah,
for me. Like, you would
Yeah.
rather develop this technology to learn how to communicate with me so that way you don't have to do something for me. It's always about what I can do for you.
yeah,
But
That's how he is, yeah.
until it comes to
yeah,
business, right? Where he literally learned Mandarin
I
in
and
thought
order to
that tech was fire, though. That was
yeah,
so cool.
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
interesting
Steve
because
Jobs, when's that coming out?
because his love is a bit different. He did the tech thing with the whole eye contact stuff, and then he also acknowledges her grandma's necklace and that it
Mm,
was a sign language necklace. So I'm like, a person who is in love would notice and bring that up because like you just wouldn't. And so I'm like, there is love in there, but you just like you can't accept it because you don't know what it is. You just
right.
didn't have it in life. So I think she was the closest thing. And even with that gunshot, he was like, you know what? I'm willing to forgive you. Um, but then even the gunshot, I'm like, bro, like, didn't you shoot him in the face? Like, where's the exit? Like, how do you survive this? I was like, why didn't it just shoot him in the leg or something? You know, at least at that, I'm like, all right, he survived that. But
Yeah,
oh
it's
man,
very interesting. I was, I kind of like subtly was wondering that in the back of my mind, but I was just like Kingpin as a character is interesting enough, and I've always wondered like what is he actually?
yeah,
Even like thinking back to like seeing him in the Spider-Man cartoon in the animated series from the 90s, because I'm like, this guy is huge, right? In the comic, in the cartoon. So like I always got this impression that like his mutant power ability, if he even is considered to be one, or if he is going to be considered one in the MCU, is something along those lines where it's like he just has like a really thick skull, a big frame, and that's like
yeah,
I guess like just a part of like what he is and how he is, so that he can take a gunshot to the face like that in the eye and
he's
heal
good.
from it in a sense. So, it's kind of like ridiculous, but I mean, it is what it is. We're entering that realm of mutant type of stuff here.
Yeah,
So if they decide to do that with him, it would make sense, I suppose. But that
and
didn't really bother me that much.
Yeah.
the one thing I want to talk to you guys about was that first episode. Like the first 30 minutes was basically a recap of Hawkeye done
True.
really
Yeah.
fast, but
Yeah.
also kind of bad. Because for us, I'm like, okay, cool. But bro, a new person coming in, seeing that first episode, they're gonna be like, "The fuck did I
Yeah,
just see?"
what the
Like,
fuck was
wait,
that?
is he from the future? This is Marvel, right? Like, so is he from another universe? Like, it was so confusing. Like, and bro, we get it, but like, I was thinking, like, yo, if I recommend this to someone, or someone else comes in here for the first time, because this was supposed to be, oh, don't worry about anything else happening in the MCU. You
Mhm.
can come in here and just pick it up and you'll be fine. But that first episode, I was like, this is a lot for someone to capture.
I almost
What do you think,
wish
Joey?
that Marvel would do, like, a previously on series where it's like, "Here's this hour-long movie that gets you up to speed from here to here." So
They
that
do it in
way
the comics.
exactly, yeah, so, like, if you could just do that and make it so that way, we don't have to watch every series, don't have to watch every movie, because not everybody is us. Nobody else wants to watch every single thing they put out, right? So it's like, that would be wonderful, but I kind of agree. I think I enjoyed seeing it because I was like, "Oh, this is literally just recapping all of her what she saw during Hawkeye. Okay, cool. This is fun." But if, like you said, if I was anybody else, if I had not watched Hawkeye, I'd probably be like, "Okay, well, like, what's happening here? Like, what's going on?" So I definitely get
Yeah.
that.
I
That
felt
that
like
last
that
scene.
was
Oh,
fine.
yeah, go for it, Uch.
I felt like it was fine because I appreciated the recaps, and I kind of see it in the other way where it's like if I was someone new, I would at least catch on that like, oh, there was something that took place prior to this. And like I
They have
felt
a
like
pass.
yeah, like it's a good way to give purpose to your catalog. Cause like if I like if I'm new to something and I'm just gonna hop in, I'm gonna use Ultimate Spider-Man for the perfect example that ties into this because the first page, and I'm talking about the brand new issue that came out last week for
Like 2 pages.
2024. Yeah, like it was like right at the beginning, they have a little excerpt of what had happened previous to lead into this book, right? And I read that and I was like, "Oh shit, this is crazy." So now I have a better understanding going in, like, to follow what's actually going on, and then the story itself does a great job with explaining from the perspective of those characters what actually went down. So,
Yeah.
like, seeing it happen in Echo, I already, like, if we're talking like in the tense of a new person, I was almost said character, a new person that is watching this, I feel like I would be like, damn, like, they didn't tell me I have to watch Hawkeye. They gave me the spark notes of it. And then they also threw in a little surprise. Oh shit, Daredevil's in there? Damn, like, it's all connected. So now, coming out of an episode 1 of Echo, as someone new, you can, if you want, watch Hawkeye now. You also can go back and check out Daredevil. And then obviously if you're doing all that, it's like I feel like Marvel and Disney, they're doing a really good job with, keeping the integrity of whoever there is trying to spotlight, but then at the same time, they are a comic book adaptation. Just like in comics, is going to happen here. They're going to have to reference in some way at some point in time the things that came before it. So that way, like for me, like, I'm trying to read what had happened before all this Ultimate Spider-Man stuff, so that, I can get a bigger scope of, like, damn, they prevented Peter from getting bitten. Who else lost their power or got it taken away or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, at least that's how I would think somebody new would come in. Because I mean, if we're gonna talk about like the fucking people that leave during the credits, fuck them. I don't even care. You could
Yeah.
complain all you want. Your opinion will never matter to me anyway, because
I'm,
like, you just here
I'm the
taking up
dude.
space.
I did this in when I was watching Aquaman. I was like, guys, there's a post credit scene just in case. Like, I'm that dude at the movie theater. It didn't matter, and I knew
Nobody
that this
cares.
was
See,
the end
you're
of the
so nice. I literally judging. That's me. I'm just everybody that passes by, and Crystal's the same way. We're just like, fucking disgusted at these
Bye.
fucking frauds in the
Bye.
goddamn theater. That's how we roll. But
Oh, no,
we don't throw
I'm the guy,
nothing.
I'm the guy, I'm like, "No, no, sit here, sit right here, here, have some popcorn." There's a post-credit scene. Even though Aquaman's probably the worst post-credit scene to recommend, because like, that's it. We're going into a new world, a new universe when it comes to DC. Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. I had such mixed feelings. I ended up rewatching some of the episodes too. I was like, "Was it me? Was it?" But nah, I still didn't I still didn't connect with it. There were characters that I liked, like the grandpa who owned the store, Biscuits, he was super funny. Um, they had that one Lion King scene and line in there, like,
Oh, that was fire. I loved that
everything in the
part.
light belongs to you, and I was like, "Wait, is that Lion King?" And, like, and then they said it.
That's a
I was
nice
like, "Oh,
plug.
that's awesome." That's such a good plug, and I was like, "Damn, that's some clever stuff right there." But, bro, I haven't done any research on Echo the same way that I'm not gonna do any research on Dead Devil?
Red
Dead
Devil?
Devil? Did I just create
Yeah.
a superhero?
What
TM.
if season 3
On
coming
Deadpool?
soon? Incredibly.
Dead Devil. In a world where a man lives underneath the house. Oh, crap, I need water now. Yeah, same thing. It was okay for me. I wanted more of the culture stuff, like
Mm,
the
yeah.
music, the dancing, the outfits, the way that they poked fun of the tourists that were coming through town, like stuff like
Oh,
that.
I
I was like,
love
"Give me
that
more of
shit.
that. Give me more of that." Because I'm that dude, right? Like, who goes to Paris. I'm like, "Can I have a croissant, please?" And they're like, "Oh, do you want the croissant?" And then, like, I come back, I'm like, "Croissant, croissant," and like, no one, that's stupid tourist. Uh, but yeah, man, that's kind of how I'm feeling. Is just like really, really mixed feelings. This was what my number two? No,
Yes.
two. This was number two because of the promo that it had, right? Like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
spotlight, darker, all that stuff. I was like, ooh, and it was risky. It was really risky to promote that. I'm not sure what's worse, like the fact that it wasn't that risky now, or like the fact that I felt kind of lied to. And I'm curious to see how many other people felt the same way? Let us know down below in the comments, please. We'll hit you back up. Uh, but yeah, Joey, any more thoughts on Echo?
I
What did you like?
What I liked, I actually really liked Scully. I loved everything with Scully and
Mm.
Chula. I thought that they were awesome characters. I really didn't like Biscuits. I thought we could do without Biscuits in the entire show because it just felt so inconsequential. He was just kind of like this guy in the chair, just kind of there hanging out, cousin kind of guy. And I was like, all
Yeah,
right, it just didn't really, I almost wish that like they really built Bonnie up to be a bigger character than she was, especially with her
yeah,
being like her best friend as a kid and
mhm,
like then being a firefighter and all this stuff. And it just kind of felt like the firefighter aspects didn't really play out
yeah,
into anything. And then
No, it
she was
didn't.
just kind of ended up being like a almost a damsel in distress,
yeah.
just kind of getting captured. And so I really
It
wish
is Kingpin though, so, I'm
That's
not
True
gonna lie.
that.
true, but it
I can
really
hit the gym all week, I see Kingpin, I'm like, I
yeah,
haven't gone to the gym in a while.
low key fair. He actually looked I don't know if this is true. He looked bigger than he did in Daredevil. Like, physically, when
Mm.
he came on screen, I was like, "Holy shit, like, this
I
dude
felt the
is
opposite,
huge."
bro. I felt like he
Really?
didn't look as big as in
Yeah,
Daredevil. Yeah,
yeah. I felt like he was right, like, just right in the middle, like,
Interesting.
yeah. It's kinda
it's
like
interesting.
yeah, he's just slightly bigger, but, like, in Daredevil on Netflix, he felt like he was God and, like,
Yeah.
king and, like, just, like, huge.
It was those
Maybe
And this
angles.
one those
yeah.
angles, exactly, those, like, low shots and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I
In this
think
one, there
Charlie
was a
Cox is
scene
also small. I think that's what
True.
it is.
probably.
There was a scene towards the end, it's, when he surprises her at the house, and they have, like, a wide shot, and they're kinda next to each other, I'm like, "Oh, no, don't give me this shot." Like, he looks too small, compared to, like, what we know, and bro,
Yeah.
Spider-Man, the movie, Across the Spider-Verse, he's, like, huge, like, he's so big, his head is small, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they
So
captured that comic essence
Yeah.
of the character. Like I feel like animated anything have it way easier than
yeah,
anything live action. Like they can
True.
truly make an adaptation that feels way closer to what you see in a comic book. You know, like if that type of thing was to ever happen in live action, I would expect it to be like it would be an Easter egg moment and it would
mhm,
have to be like afflicted from some third party and he'd have a reaction to something and his body's just fucking going huge or something like
right,
that. That's the only way I ever see them doing that. But outside of that, it's completely unnecessary. That's something that I don't need them to do in order to deliver a proper Kingpin
yeah,
character. For as far as I'm concerned, this is the best version
Facts.
that we've got.
yeah.
That's facts.
Yeah, his voice, his everything, his just his tone and everything and the look. So I'm glad he's back. I'm glad that
Yeah.
Vincent decided to stick around because you have other actors who signed on to Marvel and then pulled out for whatever reasons.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the actor from Beef. I forget his name. He was also
Steven Yeun.
yeah. He was like,
Yeah.
"Nah, never mind." So I'm like, "I want okay." But I'm glad Vincent is back, and I like Biscuits. I Biscuits is the one person you put into the show to kinda, like, chill the mood out and balance it, Uchi, yeah. And so, like, I did like Biscuits for that. It's like, "This is too intense. Maya's not laughing," and then Biscuits over here like, "Yo, I'm so happy you're back." There's my dog and, like, all that stuff. They should've named the dog, like Chicken and Biscuits. But
Ha!
anywho,
That would've been funny.
Billy J.
um, yeah, man, I don't know. Uchi, final thoughts on Echo.
I thought it was a really solid show, with the episodes that we got and how they delivered it and how we were able to actually watch all of it in one shot for the most part. I thought it was great. I thought that the scene where Daredevil makes his appearance, it felt like a video game cutscene.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know if you guys felt like that, but, like,
Absolutely.
how
yeah,
he, like, comes in is at, like, almost like a, "Oh my god, it's him," right? And,
yeah,
like, they didn't cut. They just kept the camera rolling, and they just moved the camera around. That moment made it feel like Netflix, like,
yeah,
kinda, like, this was Disney's version of it, and I thought it was so good, and it was, like honestly, it was breathtaking because Crystal and I watching this shit, and we were just like, And like we held that breath and like our eyes wide open, jaw dropped, and we're just like, he's there. Like that's him. Like and it's like the tone is right. And I was like, oh, like that is so cool. Like if it really did feel like a video game moment. And I'm glad that that's all we got of him because like again, really nice appetizer, really nice like tone setting, but this is not about him. This is about her. Because funny thing, I feel like he was in She-Hulk more than he was
Yeah,
here.
He
Um,
absolutely was.
yeah,
yeah. So
100%.
yeah, so like this is really cool. It's just building up that, but I think I also want to add because to what you guys were talking about, like with the whole spotlight thing. Me personally, going into this, when I heard that Marvel was gonna start calling these shows like spotlights, I kinda, like, felt like that was almost pointless. I feel like it's just a branding thing because, whenever, like, a big company decides to do, like, a rebrand or they decide to, like, name something different, it's just an excuse for them to kinda just push it out more, so it doesn't feel like, "Oh, like, we're just putting out a lot of the same stuff." Like,
Right.
because honestly, it's like, yeah, it's a spotlight, but it's not like I'm expecting for this show to just be, like, 90% Echo and no one else. Like, the trailer shows Kingpin a lot, shows
Yeah,
Daredevil in there, even though he's in for one scene. Obviously, they're gonna have to throw that in there because they want people to watch the show.
yeah,
And all the other cast, all the rest of the cast that was there and everything like that, like was completely necessary because it's like you're not gonna give me a show and a character like at that point. Spotlights really should be like Moon or not Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night, like something where it's like a one shot.
I
one and
agree.
done.
That's
I think that's what they were aiming for with Werewolf by Night too.
Yeah, like that's what I feel like a true spotlight would be. But again, I was just like, I just swept it under the rug because I was like, all right, whatever. Like they want to just rebrand it in this way, want to have a little logo for it. Fine, do it. I don't care. I know what to expect when like because it's still at the end of the day something MCU. They're gonna have the focus on whoever or whomever, but they're also going to have it play a part in everything else in some capacity. So it's like I said earlier, we got the Daredevil stuff, we got the Kingpin stuff, especially at the end. And I said this, I was like, yo, this man is gonna try to be the fucking mayor, and boom. It left me with a hype feeling because I'm looking forward to whenever the next project is that he's running for that campaign. And who
Mm,
knows? That could also be the moment where we might see like Luke Cage also trying to run because if y'all don't know or don't remember, but like he like becomes like in charge of that club and like he's now in this like higher position where it's just like, oh, he's in a suit now. Who knows?
mhm.
Maybe he's gonna try to be one of the candidates or some shit like that. Like there's a lot of moving parts and thoughts where it could go, and it keeps me excited. So it's just like I'm good.
Yeah. I it's very interesting because the whole Kingpin thing, I wasn't expecting to get that much of Kingpin. Like obviously, like I know he was in the trailers and all that stuff, but the show is called Echo. And so I was like, all right, it's gonna be more about Echo, but I'm glad that we got a lot of Kingpin. One thing I wanted to bring up really, really quickly. Last week I said I was concerned that they're releasing the entire thing in one drop. And my gut was like that they didn't have that much confidence in it to go in week to week. And I think for me that came true. Like I'm glad they didn't do the week to week, which is apparently like the best way to release things and to build buzz, a la Loki. Look how amazing Loki was. Uh, but I don't know, like I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that. Joey, do you have any thoughts on like dropping it all at once versus the week to week thing?
I think it really worked for this. I do think that it would have had a Secret Invasion effect where it kind of like I would say episode 2, 3 kind of dragged a little bit for me. And so I think people would have been like really, really hype on episode 1, Daredevil, Kingpin, all this shit. Episode 2, she comes home, it slows down. She meets biscuits. And like everything that was really hype about the show, we saw in the trailers. Like her jumping
Yeah.
off the train. Like like everything with Fisk. It was all
Mhm.
already divulged to us in the trailers. So I think it was very beneficial for it to all drop at once because people were like, "Oh, it's only 4 hours and change or whatever." I think it might have been 3 and change to watch the whole thing. Might as well just binge it on a Friday night, whatever.
Yeah.
Binge it this week rather than have to wait week by week. Um, I think we'll probably see more of that when it comes to these spotlights rather than putting them out, you know, weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for this show, that was probably the right call because you're right. After that second episode, I don't know, like, if I would have been obviously, I'll watch everything Marvel
Right.
and DC, but, still, like, I don't know, like, if Cynthia would be like, "Oh, yeah, let's watch." She'll be like, "Nah, bro. Like, I'm good." Uh, but, but yeah, I did wanna say on Uchi's comment about the fighting scene with Daredevil, that was sick. Like, that was, like, the most nostalgic thing to me, and it sucks because, like, I don't want the best thing about the show to be the Daredevil scene, but to me, that
Yeah.
was like the best thing. Like the fight scene, the camera work, even the way he was standing. Like
Oh,
there was a part where he paused, like they paused for
yes,
him. Like they
yes.
messed up the pace for the sake of you just seeing him and his like posture. And I was like, oh, I like that. And I was like, give me more of that. I'll make that my wallpaper, bro. Like that's how nerdy I am about this stuff. I'll take a screenshot, whatever, I'll put it in the wallpaper, and then people judge me and I cry, but that's okay. Um, but yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Before we do ratings, do you guys want to look at the tier list and see where we put this? Joey, I don't know if you have it up or anything.
I think Uchi will be able to pull it up faster than me.
Okay, cool. We
Yeah,
can
I
do
have it
that.
right here.
So, quick
So,
plug for last week, Uchi and I on the incredibly live Twitch, nope, incredibly live YouTube streams.
ah,
We did a tier list of all the MCU shows that are now canon,
now we
which
can say that.
include
Yeah.
all the Netflix shows. I'm assuming all the Hulu shows too. I don't remember exactly. I think Inhumans came out on Hulu, which I think was technically canonized when we saw
Mm.
Black Bolt
Oh, yeah,
on
I mean,
movies.
that's what I considered it. I was
Right.
like, "Oh, that bet it's in there."
Yeah.
Nice.
So we did a tier list. Ooch, do you have it up?
Yeah, I do.
Read that, John.
Alright, so basically, I'll go from shit to great, so
Okay.
we can get Secret Invasion right out the way.
Okay.
That was the
Joey,
only thing
Joey,
left.
in post edit, can you put some intense music in the background, like dun 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 dun?
No, but I
Okay.
will. Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
Yeah. Alright, so Secret Invasion starts us off in the F tier, aka trash, because we already know. Nothing was in D. The only thing in C was She-Hulk. B had What If, Defenders, and Jessica Jones. And also, I will also add this as well. Seasons that had like multiple seasons, we
They're all clumped.
considered just all in
Yeah,
one.
we
yeah.
did the whole show as
Yeah,
a
the
regular
whole
show. Yeah.
experience. Yeah. So then in A, we have Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Iron Fist, Miss Marvel, Luke Cage. And then in S, yeah, we have Loki, Punisher, Daredevil, Captain, or no, I'm sorry. Well, it should be called Captain America and the Winter
Right.
Soldier, because it's Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then WandaVision. Um, so there it goes.
So then, Joey, where do you put Echo
Oh,
on that tier
shit.
list?
I would
You
put
gotta be
it
ready.
in all honesty, I really enjoyed the show, but I think that had a lot of downfalls. So I would put it probably middle of B.
Yeah, well,
Middle of B.
I
Okay.
think one of our viewers from last week, I think if I'm remembering this correctly, they also put it Echo in B when they did their version of
Mhm.
the tier list.
I really, really enjoyed the show. But what I enjoyed about it, they did not give me enough of. Like, even if it was just one more episode where we got to see Maya delve more into her heritage or like really embrace the community instead of being this outcast. I really would have I think I would have liked that more rather than using the Native American culture as like flavor for it, really embed us in it. Like I think that's what I would have wanted more to make the end scene where she like really embraces her ancestors even more meaningful when it's like,
Mm.
like we got to see the powwow, yes, but we didn't get to see the powwow. Like we saw parts of it. So I wish we would have got more of that. So had it had more of that and more awesome fight scenes, I'd put an A. But like B, like middle to high B is where it's landing for me.
Middle to high B. Okay, cool.
I would definitely put it above Defenders. I would say it's in line with What If for me. On That's on our tier list. So on our tier list, What If seasons 1 and 2, Defenders. Well, we'll have to re-rate What If, but so seasons 1 and 2 of What If,
Another
Defenders,
time.
and Jessica Jones in B. I would put it right behind. I would put it in line with What If.
Mhm.
In
In
line with
line with
What
what
If.
if.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Uchi, what about you?
So, on the contrary, I felt like how they gave us the heritage, the background, all of the lore that sets up and has and plays a part in her story, I enjoyed that a lot, and I thought that based upon the character of Echo, like how Maya is as a person, she is a character that again is super conflicted. She has a lot of things that she needs to work out. And there was literally at no point where outside of just learning about why she's seeing these random visions, she didn't really have any sort of necessity or want to just like kind of embellish herself in that. Which is why I was just
Agreed.
like, for me, it makes perfect sense, like how
Mhm.
she was acting and like how she reacted even after the big fight. Because if she was to just turn a complete 180 and be like, yeah, like I'm this happy-go-lucky chick. I'm trying to learn about more of my heritage. I'm trying to do the dance. You no, I that's when I would have literally like knocked it down a little because it's just like, okay, now that doesn't make sense because her boxes are not being checked off now. Like I'm accepting the character for how she is and how they presented her. So like she stayed consistent the entire way, even like with learning about her heritage and how it like she's related to like the first like I forget what their people were called, but
Mhm.
like she was related to her all the way from how it started. And I'm just like, oh, I was like, I figured like she was gonna have to be, right? But even after that, she did not like say or make any kind of indication like, yeah, like I'm trying to stay home and really be about this life.
Mhm.
She's still in her mind, she's still trying to like, you know, she's still trying to work things out. She wants to be this queen pin, but again, she's still a little shuffled around mentally, and I understand that. And with 5 episodes, for what they did and how they did it, I was totally okay with it. I thought all the action was great when they had action. I thought the supporting characters were really cool. Biscuits didn't bother me because I didn't even feel like he was on as much as it may have
Yeah.
sounded. Whenever he was there, he made me laugh or he was useful in some way.
Mhm.
So, I'm me, I feel like this is a very solid of enough show to be placed in A. I don't know where, I don't know how high or if it goes closer to S, but if you're someone that's watching this that even has like Native American blood running through your veins, you might put this shit in S. You might. You just might. But I'm definitely acknowledging it for what it did and how it did it. And I don't think because it didn't go too much in a certain direction or whatever, or what, like, I never had a moment where I felt like, oh, this should have happened or that should have happened because this is another character that I went into. I didn't know anything about Echo. So how they gave it, how they dished it out, I enjoyed it. A for me.
Cool. I'll put it somewhere in here too. For me, it's gonna go next to She-Hulk. It's a C. I I thought the show was okay. Um, I thought not gonna lie to you, I was bored. I'll give you guys another one. Cynthia is a much better human than me, right?
Uh,
She is she is she is like a wonderful person, very cheerful, very sweet and caring. Like she is like 100 times better than me as a human. And she looks at the brighter side of things with everything. Even in Secret Invasion, she'll be like, yeah, but like let it play out and like let's see where it's going. That part's cool. Bro, with Echo, she was like, this is not for me. I was like, wait, what?
Wow.
Uh, so and I knew I wasn't I knew my expectations were something else because of the trailer, the clickbait, whatever you wanna call it. So I was hoping for something different. I haven't done any research online to see, like, if Joey, I don't know, like, if you know, like, if anybody mentioned, like, "Hey, I didn't get, what you guys told me." But for me, it was a C because I did like the culture stuff. And when I saw her in Hawkeye, I was like, "Yo, I bet she has an interesting story." Right? Because I was a fan of Hawkeye. It's one of my favorite shows.
Same.
So, um, yeah, I'm putting it based on this list, it's gotta go next to She-Hulk on C in that C level.
So that means like an average between the 3 of us literally goes in B. That's crazy. Joey fucking wins. He got what he wanted.
Yes.
Yeah, behind Jessica Jones.
Wow,
So,
so at the bottom, wow, okay.
um, yeah, man, I don't know. I think it is just a miscommunication between me and, like, that trailer or, like, the whole Marvel Spotlight campaign that Joey was talking about. My expectations were something totally different, and, yeah, I don't know, it's weird. Kingpin and that Daredevil scene, like, saved this show for me because that Daredevil fight, when I saw it, bro, I, like, rewind and I stopped and I went again, like, the camera movement was so cool, everything was so cool, the sound of his leather suit, everything, and then you start to think, like, "Wait a minute," like, these 2 fighting is very interesting because one of them has a disability, right? So, like well, they both do. So, like, I
Yeah,
was like,
that's the
"Yo, this
thing.
is so cool, so interesting." I don't know, like, and the cheesy side of me thinks of, like, that's very inspirational to certain people in this world. So, for me, I'm like, these 2 people fighting right now, like, on this big stage is a fire, right?
Yeah,
So, I got that part too. So, yeah, that's kinda my final thoughts. Do you guys wanna do ratings?
sure.
Real fast, I wanna give flowers to, Maya. I don't wanna butcher her name. Alaqua Cox.
Mhm.
I did not realize that she actually was missing a leg in real life. I didn't
Oh,
realize that.
that's why they did
Crazy.
in the show.
Yeah, so I didn't
That's
realize that
crazy.
because and I also didn't realize that her niece in real life played the younger version of her, which I was like when we
Yeah.
saw her in Hawkeye, I was like, "Man, she looks just fucking like her. Like, how did they
Exactly
do
like
that?"
her.
I was like,
A
"How did they do
twin.
that?" And then it's actually like her she's literally related. But,
That's really cool. I like that a lot. That's
yeah,
really
You
dope.
see
so
it, bro. I was like, "Damn, they really did a great job in the
yeah,
casting," and
I
she
was
was
like,
amazing.
how the fuck they do this?" Like, that is crazy. So, shout outs to her. I don't believe I've watched another movie that starred a, deaf person, and so it was
Have you seen
incredible.
Coda?
I have not. I
Okay,
kn
that's an
it's
amazing
literally
movie.
on the list, like, it's on my
Yeah.
list, so, but she was just so amazing, and, like, being that this is the first time I've seen, somebody with that is deaf, act in this
Mhm,
movie on this grand of a stage, just incredible. So, like, I wanna give this show its flowers for highlighting not only the Native American culture, but also, people with disabilities like this. Because 'cause I'll tell you, she fucking kicked ass in this show. Like,
mhm.
I'm assuming she did a lot of her own stunts, like, incredible. It
Yeah,
it was wonderful to see, and I know earlier I said that she may not be back in the MCU. I really hope she is just because of how great of an actor she is and how
mhm.
wonderful an addition she is to the rest of the ensemble.
Can I
Yeah, well
also add to that?
Yeah.
do it, bro.
Because how you brought that up, I felt like another part of the reasons why I loved the show as much as I did is because I was actually wondering how they're going to tell a story from a deaf character's perspective. And I was like kind of expecting like there's gonna be scenes where we're not gonna have any audio, right? To give us that
Mhm.
feel. And that happened. And but it was like a perfect blend. Like they would go in and
In
out,
and out.
you
Mhm.
know, and I thought that was done so well. So, I mean, that's just another thing for me to leave it in A for me, but,
So I highly recommend Coda. You guys should watch that for sure. But like I said, that's the feeling that I got when I was watching those two fight. I was like, bro, for these two people, someone's watching this and saying, hey, I also have a disability and I can be cool like Daredevil or I can be cool like Echo. Like that
Yes,
hit
you
me
fucking
pretty hard.
can.
yeah,
And
man.
and the other thing important
Yeah.
about this topic is that sometimes these are permanent issues and sometimes they're temporary. So sometimes you might be, I don't know, you had eye surgery or something and it went wrong and now you have to deal with this for 6 months. But so like even people that have these temporary disabilities, they feel it. And so like for me, I thought that was super dope. That was another piece that I really liked. But I replayed that scene like more than twice. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, like my none of my issues with the show were really about um how do I put this? It was more like cinematography and some characters more so than the content of the show. Because overall, I like the show. I think my biggest gripe was like I wanted more. I think that's kind of like
Mm.
a lot of my issues.
Yeah, I wanted more too.
Um, because I really liked Maya and I really like Scully, Chula, Bonnie. Like I love these characters. The gentleman that owns the roller rink, I can't remember his name right now. He was awesome.
Mhm.
I liked him a lot. Like,
Yeah.
Dude,
they had a really nice supporting cast over
I
here.
Yeah.
he was so expressive. Like the one ASL word that stuck out to me was every time that he would say dead, it was always
Yeah.
very flashy when he would speak, because he was like very like in Maya's face about it. It's like, no, you will fucking die if you go after Fisk. Like you will be dead. And like I just loved all of it and I just thought that was wonderful. So like the only gripes I have with the show are just like some of the shots are just like really bad and biscuits. Like that's I think that's about it. I think that's about it.
Shout out to Biscuit, man. And shout out to all the deaf people. That's how you say cheers and show some love to that community. I like the dancing remix.
That's how you say Millie Wop in ASL.
Probably. All right, Joy, what's your rating?
My rate oh, so it's a TV show. Out
Yeah,
of
So
5
we're
or out
doing
of
out of
10?
5, right? For yeah.
Out of
5
5,
incredibly points.
I'm gonna give it 4 incredibly points because
Oh,
it was not a perfect
okay.
show.
Bro,
Out of
your
5,
ratings
right?
and your
Out of fi
scales sometimes be tripping me out,
out of
bro.
5? No, we're out of 5,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
4 out of 5.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's like a B. That's 80%.
All right.
That's a 4. What do you want from me? What do you
So
want?
based on what you were saying, I was expecting a little bit less. I don't know if Uchi yeah.
Me
No,
too.
I enjoyed it. There was just a lot that I wanted more of,
B for
but
biscuits is what you're basically telling me.
B for biscuits, I guess. Um, they're just it could I want more. However, I none of what I have issues with is Maya. You know, like Maya
Yeah.
was not any of the issues. Neither was Kingpin. Neither was Scully. Neither was any of the other characters outside of Biscuits, and then like a lot of the cinematography, and then like episodes 2 and 3 kind of dragged for me.
Yeah. That
Outside
was
of
the
that,
boring part I was talking
yeah,
about for Q3, yeah.
it got a little boring, but the rest of it I really enjoyed. So
Yeah. I think you had more problem with maybe what I said in the beginning, the editing.
yes,
Maybe it was the cinematography, but I felt like the editing and the pacing
yeah,
felt inconsistent to me. And again, I've only edited like one YouTube video, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but I just
He
know
lying.
I'm lying. I just know what I felt in that moment. I'm like,
mhm,
something's off.
yeah,
Um, cool. I'll go next. For me, it was a 3,
I knew
like
it.
3 out of 5. It was like average. There were parts that I really loved. I wanted more of the culture. Like I really wanted to lean in on that piece. I wanted to know more about we got a lot of the background, which was cool, but I wanted to know just deeper into that culture and see how they deal with pain and how they talk and overcome stuff. There was this beautiful moment with Chula and Maya when they talked about like the connection between a mother and a daughter, like that kind of stuff. Movies like Past Lives, Your Name, the animated movie, is that what it's called? Yeah, stuff like that. The building the connection and the human aspect of it, I really loved, and that was the piece for me that was missing. So, yeah, I thought it was okay. So I'd give it a C. So I'd give it a 3 out of 5. Uchi.
I'm gonna give it a 4. Because obviously it wasn't perfect. It didn't like wow me to like a 5 out of 5 level type of show would do. But nonetheless, like all the pros that I gave it, all the cons that I had mentioned, I feel like a 4 out of 5 is definitely like a very fair score for what we got out of like a 5 episode spotlight. So yeah, 4 out of 5.
And that's all the time that we have for you today. If you love movies, subscribe to Skip the Previews, my YouTube channel where I share movies that I watch. Joey, where can people find you?
You can find me on twitter.com/life my pace, or you can find me on twitch.tv/house_top. Yeah. Or I now have a roadcaster, so I got all the buttons.
You can't say it over the sound though.
Yes, I can. That's, you gotta do it in unison.
He's new to it. Like
Yes,
he'll figure it out.
yeah. There we go.
There you go.
Or you can catch me on Tuesdays on Incredibly Live with Uchi, where we discuss all things comic book
Wednesdays.
tier lists, brackets on Wednesdays, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on YouTube.
Uchi, where can people find you?
Plant the seeds so y'all can get the trees. To all of the social media that I have, a lot of content, a lot of channels. Full Power Podcast is one. And all my other stuff that I'm doing, I'm streaming on twitch.tv/uchigames and whatnot. But like Joey said, see us live on Wednesdays for a tier list, for some sort of bracket discussion. It's very fun. It's very interactive. It's a nice conversation to have with anyone, for those that do show up. So that is right here on Incredibly.
And remember to drop a comment and follow us on our socials to stay up to date when our next episode drops or when we go live. Please leave us a review on your favorite podcast player. And remember, you can find all the links that we talked about today in the description below. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Joey, got to hit the sound effects.
Yeah.